Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Um, it's going to be kind of hard for me to articulate this video, but I'm going to try my best, okay, to do so. Um, I um, I had a dream a long time ago, okay, and in this dream, I was in a meeting, okay, and I realized something. Um, I realized that the conversations there were extremely um, difficult to understand. So the level of intelligence that was needed in order to be a part of that meeting was very high. And so this made me realize something. Um, it made me realize something, and I think I did think about this in my dream too. I realized that human beings are actually operating, and supposedly we're only using a very small percentage of our brain, right? And this is actually true. Um, there was a movie that was shown about this too, okay? And I believe Scarlett Johansson was in that movie. I think it was called Limitless, or yeah, Limitless or Limited. I don't know. I think it was Limitless, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? And so Scarlett Johansson, she took something, right? And so after taking that pill or something like that, I think that was it, right? She became extremely intelligent. She was able to do. Wait, was it Scarlett Johansson or was it Bradley Cooper? Oh my gosh, I'm so confused about the movie. Okay, but anyways, the whole point was someone took a pill and they were able to. I think it was Bradley Cooper, but I think there's also another movie about Scarlett Johansson. Okay, so these two movies are very similar, right? They give you the same idea. Okay, by taking a pill, right, you you were able to unlock your entire brain. Okay, and you were able to actually unlock all of your potential, basically your mental potential. And this made you basically unstoppable, right? You could do a lot of very you could do anything basically in this world, right? Because imagine if your if our mental capacity was at 100%, let's just say, right? And this would open so many doors for you. You would be able to think of solutions to almost every problem, right? You would be able to make money in an instant, basically, right? And come up with a way to come up with a system, right? Or I don't know, just basically you would be unstoppable when it came to like financial goals, right? Not even financial goals, but anything, really, anything. You would be able to you would be able to do anything you wanted, right? You would be able to, I don't know, erase this entire system and create a new one, basically, right? But anyway, so the reason why I made this video, right, guys, is that when we're operating at our lowest consciousness, right, and when we're stuck in our ego and in our fear-based thinking, right, um, when we're operating from our lowest animalistic chakra, okay, we are extremely limited as far as everything goes, okay? Not only do we perceive ourselves as mere animals that are just, that are constantly reacting to external triggers, right? Um, we're also extremely limited as far as our mental capacity goes. And so if you're operating from this state, you're not going to understand a lot of things. And that's why to get out of the state, it's extremely important to train your brain and to allow your soul, your spirit to lead you in certain directions, and to be guided by your spirit, because your spirit will always show you the way out of this matrix, basically. Okay, your spirit is like, it's like your best friend. And so if you work with your spirit, if you work in unison with your spirit, then you'll be guided, to certain things, and you can look them up, you can research them, and you'll discover information that will farther open your mind. Okay, and that's why like reading is so important, right? And guys, in the past, right, books were attacked for exactly this reason. The lower entities uh, did not want us to. It's a war on our consciousness, right? As far as humanity goes. So if you attack our consciousness, if you attack our knowledge, right? If you limit us, right? If you limit information, if you limit our access to information, we're not going to be able to ascend, we're not going to be able to increase or expand our consciousness, right? And that's not a good thing, because it's going to keep us in this lower state of being, right? And so that's why the internet is so powerful. That's why globalism, in a sense, right, is so powerful too. That's why even Instagram and all this and social media is so powerful too. It allows us to grow from being able to access certain information, and to get smarter, and for our consciousness to start expanding, right? And because back in the day, everything was limited. We only had like a dictionary, maybe, right? And um, you know other people couldn't speak about certain information, right? And because they were too afraid to be deemed crazy, right? And nowadays, right, all of this is changing. Okay, and so a lot of people are also finding their voice, because they're not afraid of looking crazy anymore, and what's his name? Mm, oh my gosh, oh yeah, David Icke, right? Or Icke, David Icke, right? He was one of those people, right? That he started releasing certain information that was back in his days, right? It was extremely, what he said was extremely crazy. Okay, it could have landed him in a nut house, basically, right? But in a mental institution, right? But he still spoke out, and that actually, because he spoke out, that gave other people the courage to do so also, right? And right now we're living in a very, very beautiful time. We're living in a magical time, I would say. And the reason being is because all these old systems are collapsing, and also because people's consciousness has expanded, okay, because of the information, right, that they're able to access, okay. And so because of this information, because of all the materials, all the books that have been created, right, our consciousness is expanding more and more and more, okay. And because of that, we're ascending, okay, we're ascending. We are realizing and recognizing who we are. We're remembering, basically, okay. And so why do you want to access your full potential, right? Look, guys, the whole point of this life for most people, okay, is to become conscious, okay. And also, by becoming conscious, you're I believe the whole point is to return to source, okay. And that's the whole point, is to return to source and to remember who you are, right? um, Instead of dying in an unconscious state, and then um, you know reliving this earthly experience again. Yeah, that's my point. I don't know, that's my point of view, that's how I see it. It could be different, right? But anyways, the whole idea is, right, is that the whole idea of this video is that, once again, you're back in the day, and it's still very relevant to this day too, is that um your consciousness is being attacked, and it was attack even back then when a lot of books were burned, for example, right? Um, that was an attack on your consciousness. Nobody wanted you to access certain information. Nobody wanted this information to get out. And that's why so many people were attacked. So many people that actually were able to access this information, right, through, I don't know, getting connected to their soul and in terms of source, they were able to access this information without any books, right? And so, but and when they did speak out, they were really, really attacked, right? And so they were attacked, and they were attacked through, vessels that were unconscious, right, and unclean, and they were attacked through these demonic attachments in those vessels that were unclean and unconscious. Okay, and so once again, nowadays it is. This information is accessible, we're able to travel, right? That's why also partially they want to restrict travel, right? It's because also through traveling, by getting to know other cultures and seeing the world, right? Like for example, right, you might be attracted to, as an individual, you might be attracted as a soul, you might be attracted to certain locations, right? In this location, right, or you might be attracted to certain time periods. That means that you might have had a past life, okay, um, it, that relates to those locations or those time periods, right, or those events, okay. And so there, once you go to certain locations, you'll be able to receive downloads. You'll be able to um, perhaps read the energy there, or unlock something that's within you, okay, that's going to bring you closer to your mission, to your purpose, to, you know and to waking you up, basically, to making you more conscious and more aware about who you are, so that's why, and in turn to also helping other people too, and so yeah, that's why, if you're drawn to certain locations, definitely go there. Okay, you might not be fully conscious about why that's happening, but it is happening for a reason. It's happening because, like I said, because you might have had um, experiences in those areas, past life experiences, okay, and uh, yeah, so anyways, so there's that, right? And so once again, right, your the greater your consciousness, okay, the more aware that you are, the more intelligent that you are, because you're unlocking you're unlocking a greater capacity for thinking, for thought, okay. uh, you're accessing regions, you're unlocking regions in your brain that have been dormant before you have fully awakened, okay. Whereas if you're operating from your egoic mind and in the 3D, uh, purely in the 3D, and from fear-based thinking and doing things and reacting, right, then your capacity for thought will also be limited, very limited, and in turn you're not going to see the bigger picture. Okay, you're not going to understand, for example, people that are conscious and aware. You're going to think they're crazy. You're going to label them, and so that's why, in a sense, we're living in different timelines. Okay, people that are conscious and unconscious, they're living in different timelines. Okay, and when it comes to, maybe I will include this in this video too, when it comes to, like, for example, um, other beings, from other dimensions, right? If you consider those beings, I think more often than not, they're not going to, if they are high vibrational beings, they're not going to come down to earth when the the inhabitants of that planet are not ready for that. They don't want to scare you, right, and then create more fear, right? And so they're going to come down, or they're going to reveal themselves, even if they ever do, uh, when humanity has ascended to a certain level and has expanded their consciousness, right? When they're able to understand more and see more and sense more, and so there's that, right? And so, guys, in a dream world, you could be having also a completely different experience where your entire mental capacity is unlocked. Okay, when you're like in the movie The Limitless. Okay, because like I said, I did have a dream like that once, and I was aware of, I was aware of what was happening. I was aware that it was a meeting where beings there were extremely intelligent, just beyond this world. Okay, I knew that. Okay, and so that's I hope you guys found this interesting. Let me know your thoughts on this, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, stay tuned for more videos.